Sonic Underground Episode 14, Winner Fakes All. We see a camera showing Robotnik some people he plans to roboticize. Robotnik coughs after laughing, which became a tired joke humiliating him in the games later on, and it's even more out of place with this kind of Robotnik since the dictator. Manic presses buttons and something explodes because pressing buttons can blow up a truck bot. You know, he really doesn't strike me as the brilliant hacker type. Do they ever say that he's a genius? That's not satisfying. Robotnik says someone's hijacking his prisoners. Sonia jumps onto a vehicle, Manic rides on his hoverboard, and his board gets shot by laser and sent away. They see some robots, and Sonia summons her keyboard to shoot lasers at them as they all conveniently miss her when there's tons of robots there. That seems statistically unlikely. The vehicle keeps going and Manic lands on top, and Sonic runs ahead and sees Sleet in a baby carrier as a trap. He shouldn't be small enough to fit in that, and Dingo was the baby carrier. Sonic easily gets away from the villains, though. I think when he gets away from them that easily, no worse for wear, what's the point of showing it in the episode other than to pad it out? He tells Manic where to go, and the vehicle barrels through a yellow thing, and the robots decide to stop following them out of pity, I guess. Sonia says she'll have to blast the door open to get the prisoners out, and Sonic decides instead to spin dash to let out the prisoners, who were in track team uniforms that Manic naturally mistook for prison jumpsuits at first. Robotnik shows off a speed bot, admits that it's not as fast as Sonic and nothing is, which is oddly kind of humble of him, and he says that the speed bot is bait for Sonic because this episode will rip off Robotnik's speed bot plot from SatAM. He issues the exact same race challenge to Sonic, and Sleet is unironically made to say it's such a great plan, and they boast about the plan when SatAM already did it. There's no excuse for this. The heroes waste time playing music trying to be better at it, which is good and relatable to have them want a hobby, but it's still pointless and has nothing to do with freedom fighting. Even Manic says that he knows it's a trap, but Sonia satisfyingly calls Sonic out on his stupid insistence on racing.
Not faster than me? Ha!
If you want to walk into a trap just to prove how fast you are, don't expect me and Manic to come save you!
Thank you! Seriously, Sonic is being such an idiot here. It's shocking. He knows it's a trap. Why does he care about racing a robot? Everyone knows he's fast, so why waste time proving it? And it seems like the heroes sleep in beds in their vehicle. And Sonia sleeps with white stuffing cucumbers on her face to make her face smoother. I guess Manic steals, and that's how she gets it. As a rebel. They had briefly been fooled into thinking Sonic was in the bed because of the wood that's being automatically sawed somehow to sound like he's snoring. Sonia then decides to go bail Sonic out anyways because she made an empty threat earlier. Sonic decides to pointlessly go borrow a disguise from a beauty salon. Borrowing is still stealing, so he's being really hypocritical every time he lectures Manic, considering he has no problem with terrorizing the rich people in the salon here. I don't think we ever see him return the stuff he stole. What is the point of him doing this? To pad out the episode, of course. He puts on a blonde girl wig and a pink dress and asks the robot if he's a member of the Freedom Fighters. The robot should really be questioning why someone would ask this. He could have been written to say that he thinks Sonic has amnesia and needs reminding of his identity. Plus, you'd think all the robots would be hard programmed to recognize Sonic's voice. The robot threatens the kid and says that innocence is against the law. That's a stilted line. I guess he's... No, seriously, why is he threatening him? Why? Sonic uses a tornado to rescue the kid and runs around the robots in the blue blur to trick them into shooting each other to pieces. Robotnik shouldn't make the robots able to destroy each other. They should be made of tougher metal than that. Sonic runs around despite being in the robot's fist and somehow tears it apart by doing that. That's dumb. Sonic suddenly admits from all this that a disguise won't work and Sonia was right about the race. So he comes home, and he assumes his siblings went out for black market sheet music that apparently exists, rather than assuming they came to save him in case he'd go out to the trap. He's really being an idiot. I understand him not using the disguise anymore because he just revealed himself because someone was in trouble, and even if he didn't get out of the disguise to use his powers, him using that tornado power made it obvious who he was anyways. It feels like that was just a filler scene to try to justify him deciding that Sonya was right, and like he had to leave to make them leave. Some panicking people get dumped out of a vehicle as Sonya and Manic are wearing disguises. Sonya wearing a mask around her mouth. She says Bartleby is having a good time with someone else at the race. Manic says she's jealous. I wonder why she would ever have a crush on him in the first place. And Manic steals something from him, the tickets he and Sonya need. How could he not have noticed he was being stolen from? Manic is right under Robotnik's skybox for the race. And Slate transforms Dingo into a horse a bunch of times, but eventually he makes him look like a person with a dress and a wheel at the bottom of him. He looks ridiculous. Sleet says the robots are ordered to attack the winner of the race, and that's sure to be Sonic, so it wouldn't matter if Sonic put on a disguise. And Manic looks like an idiot, saying that he won't know if the disguised person is Sonic, and Dingo I said the same thing. I mean, in AOSCH, whenever a disguised Sonic showed up, he showed up in a situation where the only person who could have possibly been there was Sonic. Usually because Sonic was the only one around for 100 square miles, other than the robots. One time he showed up to the robots in a rocket ship in space. So even if he had the perfect disguise covering his whole body, and was disguising his voice, there would still be no excuse for them not assuming it was him, because who else would be approaching them at a time and place like that? But in this show, it takes place in a city full of various people who look more like Sonic characters that could be mistaken for Sonic. So the disguises are easier to believe in and forgive than in a silly cartoon. Manic and Sonya aren't aware that Sonic isn't in the race, and neither is Robotnik, because they assume Sonic would be in a disguise. Sonic usually looks kinda obvious in his disguises though. You think they would just look for someone who looks like a blue hedgehog, like someone who has any sort of blue in them at all, and assume that's Sonic. And if they can't see any blue at all, that can't be Sonic. Sonic ignores the fact that Robotnik is calling the Speedbot the fastest thing ever, and he realizes that Manic and Sonya are at the race. And Dingo is one of the people racing because of the wheel. After Dingo wins the race, he gets threatened by robots because they're programmed to attack the winner. And I guess they aren't programmed to know who Dingo is. This is definitely a great twist that Sonic hadn't even tried to race, but Sonya should have never thought Dingo was Sonic and rescued him with a motorcycle, even if that was pretty novel of her to do. I'd say this is the worst written episode in the show so far. All the characters are acting like idiots. Manic drums to make a bit of an earthquake, and Sonya says she couldn't stand by and let the robots get Dingo in a kind of sweet moment, with Dingo saying he didn't know she cared.
I didn't know you cared.
Of course we care.
She then sees Sonic, and Dingo laughs. The drumming sends Robotnik away comically, making him fly away and through the window. I've got the biggest smile on my face seeing this. This version of Robotnik really deserves it. When Dingo is turned back to normal, he holds Sonya and is nice to her, and she just says yuck, without trying to explain to him why. It's because he's evil. He likes roboticizing people. Manic summons back his drum and hoverboards away, and Robotnik says he hates all hedgehogs. Sonya can't escape Dingo's fist, and Sonya tells Sonic not to make him mad. Taunting him makes him throw away Sonya so he can charge after Sonic without hurting her, and he ends up getting hit by a falling metal wall that should have injured him at the very least. Sonic runs through a robot with a spin dash as the heroes escape from laser shooting robots. It's sad that the Sonic Underground heroes are way more competent at beating robots than the SAT-AM ones. They look pathetic in comparison, because they never destroyed a swap bot once, and Sonic has no problem barreling through them in the show. And there was a song, by the way, and it was pointless, coming out of nowhere when Sonic was sitting at home. This episode at first seemed to rip off SAT-AM's Speedbot episode, but ended up having a twist to justify it. Sonic arbitrarily decides not to go to the race after a filler scene, But he had to be written to want to go to the race and then decide not to, so that Sonia and Manic could go to the race without him, trying to bail him out. It was stupid of them to think Dingo was Sonic when he looks nothing like him at all. And Sonia should have known it wasn't Sonic the minute he spoke to her. But I did love seeing her rescue him and say she cared as if they were friends. Dingo actually did win the race in a big twist from how Sadie M did it. And because Robotnik assumed Sonic would show up in a disguise to race, he had the robots programmed to destroy whoever won. It's a brilliant example of the villain's thinking ahead backfiring on him because he was wrong about his assumption, which should happen more often logically. Like the 50-50 chance. And again, I loved seeing Sonia call Sonic out on being stupid. It felt like he was being out of character, he was being so stupid. But the disguises were the low point of the episode. It's not like people are literally incapable of recognizing Dingo before he transforms back to normal, and even then, Sonia shouldn't have thought he was Sonic. It really is shameful that the show uses the paper-thin disguise trope so much, when that was done 83 times in AOSCH, where they were used for comedy relief. With this show, it's trying the same humor, and failing even more miserably, because it's totally dissonant to the bleak setting to have characters actually fall for the disguises. It's all about trying to be more realistic, because naturally, Robotnik uses inventions to take over a whole city, and naturally, there's no knothole for people to conveniently hide in. But at least with a different context, the disguises feel more believable here in a city full of other Mobian people and disguises that cover more of Sonic. I wish I saw more, like, blue hedgehogs, like, as random civilians or something, to justify why people would assume, oh, like, this is just one of those blue people.